Dre all day.
Any idea where you are right now? You are tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. Somebody's not holding up their end of the deal. And we put all this together, though, and we actually give you even more. A huge dose of personal initiative. This is that go-getter energy that moves anyone out there to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And we put all of this with the personal initiative, all this into one package. One bundle, one mindset, one method, one philosophy, one show, one masterclass. It is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. Congratulate yourself on being here. Today's topic is how to handle the business and financial issues / challenges that may have arisen based on the current pandemic that we're dealing with. Now, I don't usually, on this show, you've been listening for any amount of time, you know that I don't usually talk about current events. Most of the material that I publish here is evergreen stuff. Topics that I talk about will apply in any area at any time. And this one could actually be evergreen as well, because every one of us at some point in our lives, we're going to be dealing with some type of challenge. We either are dealing with one, just finished dealing with one, or on our way to dealing with one. But we all know what's going on right now. At least as of this recording, we have I'm in the spring of 2020. We have the coronavirus / COVID-19 pandemic that is going on. Pandemic means it's affecting everyone in a country. Epidemic could be, let me not even try to get into these definitions without having a dictionary in front of me. But let's just say this is affecting a whole lot of people. Let's just say that in different ways. Some people are actually getting sick from it. There are people who have not gotten sick, but because of all the people who are getting sick and the way that this virus can be transferred from person to person, transmitted from person to person, now we're closing things down. So anywhere where people could gather in groups, those are shut down. So we got schools closing, businesses are closing, restaurants are closing. You can't do anything entertainment wise because usually you would do it with other people. So they're closing those things down. So there's a lot of things that are getting shut down as a precautionary measure that may not even be your personal fault, but it is affecting your business in some way. And we all know that this is going on. So if you're in the United States, especially, at least as of when I'm recording this, the United States is being hit the hardest right now. Of course, it started apparently out in Asia, in China, then it moved across Europe, then it got to the United States, and now the United States is in the midst of dealing with this right now. The day that I'm recording this, we're looking at close to 20,000 new cases of coronavirus every single day in America. Hopefully, this is the peak. Hopefully, it doesn't get any higher than that. So by the time that you listen to this, it won't be getting higher. It'll actually be lower or maybe completely eradicated, hopefully, depending on how we handle it, depending on how it's getting transmitted or the transmission is being slowed. But if you're in the USA, it is affecting you one way or another, even if your schedule hasn't quite changed that much. Like mine hasn't really changed, but it has changed some things that I do in my life. Or if your industry is not directly impacted, because listen, the people around you and the people that you serve may be affected by it. So even if your business isn't affected, who are the people who buy from your business? Are they affected? Because if they are, then they may buy from you less. Maybe they're buying from you more. Maybe they're looking to you for some type of direction right now, but you are being affected by it one way or another, even if you're not aware of it. Perhaps this whole situation is affecting you majorly and it's affecting you directly. People who maybe you have lost your job. Maybe you've been laid off from your job. Maybe you run a business and you can't run your business right now because your business is based on people gathering together, which seems like a normal thing to do since human beings are social creatures. But now you can't run your business because you're not supposed to have anything open where people could gather. I mean, they've closed up the parks even where I live here in Miami. So maybe you've had your hours reduced. So you can't make as much money because you make money while you're at work, and you're not getting paid as much because you're not at work as often. So if your business involves any type of gathering of people, I've heard business owners in Miami say that they're down 80% revenue wise, simply because their business may be a restaurant, and most of their restaurant business is people coming in, sitting down and eating, not getting takeout orders. If your business is not really takeout based, even though you may be able to stay open and do takeout, you're probably not doing the same type of numbers because people don't usually come there for takeout. They come there to sit down and have a meal and be served and leave a tip. So this is no joke now. I mean, we passed the joking point about the whole coronavirus situation, because even if you, again, don't have the disease, it's affecting your life. So if you're in a location that is not affected at all, however, by this, let's say in your country, I have some friends in Europe, several friends in Europe in all different countries. And some of them have told me, listen, it's not really affecting much of anything here. Life is still pretty normal. Maybe they've closed down a few things just as precaution, but not too many people are getting it. You can look up the stats and see that not too many people are getting the virus in certain countries. It is not really changing things. So if that's you, I want you to still listen to what I'm going to say here today, because life is situated in such a way that if this situation is not affecting you at all, I guarantee you that the next situation that is affecting all of the world, all right, that one will get to you. All right, so you dodge this one, but you won't dodge the next one. So please listen closely to what I'm going to talk about here today. The things that you can do financially and business-wise to deal with this current situation if you're not already doing these things. If you are, excellent, then take this message and your message and share it with some people who have not done the things that you're already doing. Point number one, the topic once again is how to handle the business and financial issues of the current coronavirus pandemic. Number one, see things as they are, but not worse than they are. That's the first thing you have to do. This is basically about maintaining your presence of mind amidst the turmoil of events, which I'm going to do a whole masterclass on that subject alone in the very near future, next week or two. Maintaining your presence of mind allows you to look at things as they are, especially when things are not going the way that you want, when something just comes out of nowhere and affects your life in a negative way that you didn't see coming, you probably weren't thinking about, or maybe you didn't even take it serious when you first heard of it. Like this whole corona situation, a lot of people weren't really taking it serious. We heard of it, like, damn, is a disease going around? People are getting sick. There are people in some far distant land dying. Man, that's messed up. But we didn't say, all right, we got to do this and that before it comes our way. We didn't really pay attention to it until it was right on our doorstep, right? And that's what happens with a lot of us in a lot of situations in life. So what you need to do now is see it as it is. Okay, this is the situation, but don't allow your emotions to run wild and make it seem like it is worse than it actually is. See it for see what's going on for what's going on, but keep your emotions in check. All right, don't let your emotions create doomsday scenarios that have not even happened yet. All right, make sure your emotions are not dominating you. You are controlling them. In masterclass number 560, the topic was, you are in the emotional management business. So if you want to learn how to better manage your emotions and keep them in check, not to completely delete them, which would be impossible, and not to stuff them down to where they never express themselves at all, which would also be impossible, if not very difficult, and it would probably lead to outcomes that you don't want. Listen to 560, you can learn how to manage the emotions. I also talked about in masterclass number 447, how to keep your emotions in check when the stakes are high. So those are two masterclasses you can refer to about managing emotions when you're in the midst of situations like this one. So that's the first thing you need to do. See things as they are. All right, so maybe you did lose your job. Maybe you did get laid off. Maybe you are looking at an 80% reduction in your revenue. These are not things that you wanted. Probably not things that you were hoping for, and you hope that these end as quickly as possible and return back to normal. I get it. But don't let the situation become in your mind bigger or worse than it actually is. Allow it to be in its place as it is and stay right there. Don't let it grow. Point number two. Today's topic is how to handle the business and financial issues / impact of the current pandemic on your life. Point number two, fear setting. I gotta give a hat tip to Tim Ferriss for this concept of fear setting. He's the first person I ever heard using this. Now, we are all familiar with goal setting, things that we want to achieve. We write them down. We state them in the positive. We state them in the present tense as if they've already been achieved. We claim ownership of those goals, and then we go out and we work to achieve those goals. Fear setting is the exact same thing, but we do it in reverse. Well, not in reverse, but we do the opposite of goal setting. We basically take the things that we don't want to happen, the worst possible case scenarios. And what fear setting does allow us to take those emotions that we want to keep in check, the emotions that we may want to ignore, and we actually give those emotions attention. Yes, you heard me correctly. We take the emotions that many people may want to ignore, and we give attention to those emotions. We let those emotions know that they are being seen and acknowledged, and then we address how we're going to deal with them. In other words, you may have some worry in the back of your mind that what if this situation doesn't last only 3 weeks? What if it lasts 3 months? What if you are making only 20% of what you normally make for 3 whole months? Now, you may be worried about the the ramifications of that. You may be worried how you're going to pay your mortgage or pay your rent or pay your car note or put food on your table or just take care of your normal living expenses of you and whoever you may be responsible for should this thing string itself out and keep costing you money. It's basically costing you money directly or indirectly. And there's some worry that comes up. There's some anxiety. There's some fear that comes up because of that. But because maybe you've been trained to, maybe you conditioned yourself to, maybe you heard somebody else tell you, you're burying those ideas. You're burying those thoughts. You're burying those emotions and not allowing yourself to feel them at all. You're trying to act like that couldn't possibly happen. You're trying to ignore it. You're closing your eyes and saying, it's going to go away. It's going to go away. It's going to go away. Fear setting is doing the opposite of that. Because if you try to bottle up those emotions and not allow them to be felt, they will eventually be felt, and probably in ways that you didn't want them to come out. So what you do with fear setting is you allow yourself to feel the fact that you're worried. Allow yourself to feel anxious. Allow yourself to say, you know what? This would be really, really bad if this happens this way. And what you do with fear setting is you lay out the worst possible case scenario. So let's just say that this coronavirus situation, the way things are now with all this stuff shut down, all this stuff that we can't do, let's say this goes all year. It goes all the way through the rest of 2020 and everybody's getting sick and maybe even you get a case of it, but you survive. All right. Worst case scenario would be probably you get the virus and you die. But let's just say anything less than that. Because if you die, then you won't have to deal with anything else that's in your fear setting exercise. But let's just say you survive. Okay. What's the worst case scenario then? And this is the next step. But after you lay out the worst possible things that could happen, everything that could possibly happen as a result of this corona situation, if it gets really bad, everything that could possibly go wrong. Not the good things, but the bad things. All right, write those down. And the next question is, looking at those things, if they do occur, how can I survive? How can I get myself back to neutral? Look at where you are or where you were before the corona situation happened, and we'll consider that neutral. We'll consider that ground zero. How can I get myself back to ground zero? How can I get myself back to neutral if the worst case scenario happens? Could I logically survive the worst case scenario? These are all questions you're going to be asking yourself, and you're going to be writing down how you could do it. What can I do to fortify myself against the worst case scenario? So looking at those worst case scenarios and all these terrible things that could happen, what are some things you could do now preventatively that would hold off those worst case scenarios from actually coming to fruition? How can I fortify myself against it? This concept of fear setting refers heavily to Stoic philosophy, which is in Stoicism. If you haven't read Luis Seneca's Letters from a Stoic, I suggest you do. Stoicism, one of the concepts of Stoicism is imagining the worst that could possibly happen to you and really allowing yourself to feel what it would feel like for the worst possible thing to happen to you, to meditate on the worst outcome so that when anything adverse does occur in your life, you're not overtaken by it emotionally because you've already emotionally experienced it because you meditated on it. You allowed yourself to feel it as if it had actually happened. So if and when it does happen, you're not as bothered by it. All right, that's, again, a Stoic philosophy. So if you're not familiar with Stoicism, again, Luis Seneca, the book is called Letters from a Stoic. All right, get the audio, get the physical, get whatever you want. Point number 3. Today's topic is how to handle the business and financial issues that may be impacting you right now or affecting you based on the current pandemic. Number 3, start brainstorming. And I don't mean just start brainstorming for the short term. I mean, as I talked about in the second point, what if you're out of work for the next 6 months? What if you're out of work for a year? What if everyone goes back to work in 3 months, but your job, as you know it, has fundamentally changed? What if restaurants are not allowed to have more than 10 people inside at one time for the next 2 years just to make sure this doesn't happen again? What if everyone just overreacts or maybe normally reacts, maybe underreacts to whatever happened with Corona, and just the way that we do public gatherings of human beings changes completely and the rules are completely different now just because of this Corona situation? You never know. What if the whole industry that you work in goes to a whole new model of the way things are done, that because of that new model, they no longer need you to provide the work that you provided, or the job that you had becomes obsolete because the model of the business has changed completely, or just the way things are done are different, or just because people are afraid, they don't want it to happen again. So the thing that you particularly do, nobody needs that job anymore, at least for the short term. What if these things were to occur? I want you to think of what, first of all, actually one of two things. Number one, if you were not working at your dream role or in your dream job before this corona situation occurred, ask yourself, what is it that I really want to do? And brainstorm some ways that you could actually start getting into that thing, getting your foot in the door, or just getting started doing it, whatever it is you really want to do, if what you were doing is not what you really want to do. Or if the job that you cannot work right now, or the job that's been reduced right now, or is being affected in any way right now, is your dream job. It is your dream role. It is the thing that you would love to spend the rest of your life doing, but you're not able to do it fully right now because of this corona situation. Brainstorm some ways that you could creatively still get your ideas and get your work and get your value out to the world, despite the fact that things aren't set up the same way that they were a month or two ago. What are some ways that you could work around the current situation? What are some other ways that you could get your value out to the world and get it out to the people whom you serve, even though you can't have 10 people in a room anymore, even though you can't have a table of 10 at your restaurant anymore, even though you can't go to school and teach, even though you can't have a meeting in your company face to face because you're not supposed to have meetings right now, even though you can't have a whole bunch of people come to the gym and work out with you. What are some ways that you can still get your work out there? If it's work that you really love, you're really passionate about, this is your thing, this is your corner, your square. How can you get that work out there despite the fact that you can't have those gatherings? One of the things that I said when the corona situation first happened and things started getting shut down, and us, at least in America, we started realizing, okay, like this is a serious thing. I said, personal trainers, anyone here is a personal trainer listening, I said, this is your opportunity right now, because a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but everybody who has a gym membership or who uses a gym, period, because I live in a condominium where there's a gym in the building and I use that gym. I don't pay a membership fee, but I use the gym. They shut down the gym in the building. They shut down a pool at the building. And these are all part of the building. These are not public gathering places, but because people who live in the building could gather there, they had to shut them down. So nobody can go to a gym. Nobody's been to a gym since this whole shutdown thing began. And for as long as it's going on, maybe it'll be over by the time you hear this, but if it's not, nobody can go to a gym. Personal trainers. There are a whole bunch of people out there who go to a gym every day, but they go to a gym because there's equipment there and there are trainers there and there are classes there that tell them what to do. There are a lot of people, if you take them out of the gym with no equipment, no instructor, no class program to follow, they would not know what the hell to do. They're standing there like, all right, I need to work out. They know they need to work out, but they have no idea what to do. You, personal trainer, this is where you come in with your expertise. Get on Zoom or get on YouTube Live or get on Facebook or get on Instagram and start telling people this is what you do. Go make programs, go make products, sell them to people, show people this is what you do by yourself when there's no equipment whatsoever for you to work on your body or work on your fitness or to do the booty building class or build your abs or whatever it is those people are after. There's a huge opportunity for you right now. And if you do it well enough, some people won't go back to their gym membership when the corona thing is over. But that's just one example of you brainstorming ways to keep doing what you love to do outside of the confines of what you are currently unable to do. Again, not because of you, but because of the situation that we are dealing with. Point number 4. Today's topic is how to handle the business and financial issues of the current pandemic that we are dealing with. Point number 4, get the information necessary for you to address number 3. So I told you number 3, brainstorm some ways that you can get your foot in the door for your dream work if you were not in your dream work before corona, or if you were in your dream work, brainstorm some ways that you can better do your dream work given the current constraints. All right, the current constraints should not stop you from doing what you do. It should actually make you more creative in doing what you do, which should actually open your business up to more and better ways of doing what you do so that you kind of corona-proof yourself from this ever happening again or whatever the next pandemic, epidemic thing is going to be. So go read the books, listen to the podcast, go connect with the people, go find the people who are already doing it, the thing that you want to do. They're sharing information, they're putting out free content, they're writing blog posts, they do live streams, they have YouTube videos. Go find those people and listen to what they're saying. Go get the nuggets of information that you need to get from them. Go watch somebody's live stream, get on somebody's free Zoom call that you got to register for the webinar. Go take somebody's online course. Whatever it's going to be, get the information because it is out there. So get yourself informed. Don't treat the situation like a fire drill. All right, when we were in school, we would do fire drills and nobody really took the fire drill seriously because we knew it wasn't a real fire. but you need to treat the fire drill as if you're really going through a fire, and you may be going through a fire right now. You need to actually implement the stuff that you learn sooner and more urgently than maybe you think you need to. Implement it as if you need it right now, because again, we are wishfully thinking that this corona thing will be over by, who knows, a couple of weeks, a month, a year, who knows. It may go longer than some of us expect. So do not treat the situation lightly, because your business, if you treat your business lightly, your business is going to treat you lightly. Just put it like that. Point number 5. Today's topic is how to handle the business and financial impact and issues that you may be dealing with right now based on the coronavirus situation. Number 5, get active ASAP. I mean, if you've been listening to the first 4 points, I pretty much have already said this without saying it, but I want to make sure I'm explicit. Get active now. There are a lot of people right now who are waiting this thing out. All right, I want to go back to work, so I'm going to just wait it out. Hopefully it's only a month. Hopefully it's only 2 more weeks. Maybe we'll be able to go back to work tomorrow. A lot of people waiting it out, and I hope that they're right, that that's all we have to do, just wait it out. But that we're waiting out, it may take longer than we think. And even once we do wait it out and it is over, the new normal, we don't know what it's going to be. We don't know what the new normal is going to be after this, because now, I remember when the corona thing first started hitting, after an NBA player got it, and then people said, okay, this can actually happen to anybody. And people start putting out, you start to seeing the PSAs, and I'm walking around Miami. I go outside and take a walk like twice a day in Miami, by myself though, so I'm not violating the social distancing rules, y'all. But I see they have signs up now on parks or on benches, and you walk past the train station, there's a sign up there that says, all right, make sure you're using hand sanitizer, wash your hands with soap and water, don't touch no surfaces that may be dirty, and then touch your eyes and nose and mouth. And I'm thinking to myself, well, shouldn't people have already been following those rules before the corona thing happened? But what's the new normal going to be after this? Is it going to be no more handshakes? Is it going to be no more restaurants, no more parties of 10, no more gatherings of hundreds or thousands of people in the same place at the same time? What's the new normal going to be after this? Now, you may think it'd be ridiculous, those things that I just proposed, but who knows? You never know. Remember how it used to be? It used to be that you could, if you went to see someone off to take a flight, you could walk with them into the airport. You could walk all the way up to the gate where the person actually, the little tunnel you get into, the tunnel that connects the actual airport building to the plane, that little tunnel. You could walk right up to it. You couldn't walk through the tunnel, but you could walk right up to it and wave to somebody while they were getting on the plane to fly to wherever they were flying to. Remember when it used to be like that? If you're old enough, you remember that. You had to have been flying back in the 90s, because 9/11 happened in 2001. So if you took a flight in the 90s and you had somebody bring you to the airport, you probably experienced that. That's how it used to be. Then 9/11 happened. And now we got this new organization called the TSA. And the TSA changed the whole airline experience. Now, if you don't have a ticket, you don't have a boarding pass, you can't even go through security. Well, back in the 90s, there was no such thing as security at airports. Did y'all know that? I mean, there was security guards walking around, but there was not an official security barrier between this side and that side of the airport. Nowadays, if you're walking past the gates at the airport, every single person you're walking past has a ticket to get on a flight. Back in the day, you could be just walking around the airport. You ain't even have to have a ticket. You could just walk around the airport and do whatever you want to do. But once the TSA came around, we got a new normal. And that new normal changed a whole lot of things for a whole lot of people. I'm telling you that to tell you this. Do not wait and think that just because the corona thing is eventually going to be over, which it will eventually be over at some point, that doesn't mean everything's going to just, quote, go back to normal, close quote. You may have to learn a whole new set of skills, or find that what you used to do can no longer be done. And you don't want to do the new thing. Whatever that new thing is, you may not want to do it anymore. Your job may require you to have a whole new set of skills. You may have a whole completely different role. Your business may require you to do things completely different. You might not want to. That's why I'm telling you to get active and start looking at what you actually want to do that may be, let's just say, corona proof or whatever, pandemic proof, so that you're not putting yourself in a bad spot or allowing yourself to be put in a bad spot because of your lack of initiative and doing something about what's going on right now. Make sure you are prepared. See masterclass number 561. The topic, things will not go as planned. So here's how to prepare mentally. Yes, that's the whole title. I'm going to say it again. That's masterclass number 561. Things will not go as planned. So here is how to prepare yourself mentally. So if you haven't caught in between the lines, I don't know how many episodes of this show you've listened to, listener, that I pretty much, anything that could possibly come up, I have covered it in a masterclass or two or 10. And if I haven't, I guarantee you it was on deck. So now, with that being said, and if I'm wrong, you can let me know that I'm wrong. Now, that being said, let me recap today's masterclass, which is how to handle the business and financial issues / impacts / situations that may have been forced upon you based on the current pandemic. So since we all know what's going on with this whole coronavirus situation, and I rarely talk about current events, I felt like I needed to address this one. I've been addressing it on live streams on Instagram. So any of you who's on Instagram, you can follow me at Dre Baldwin. I usually do live streams every day. Even once the corona thing's over, I'll probably keep doing live streams every day. As long as people are engaging with it, I'll keep doing it. So we'll see. Anyway, maybe this is affecting you in a small way. Maybe you feel like it's not affecting you at all. Maybe it's affecting you majorly, but everyone's affected in some way, because even if it's not directly affecting you, it's affecting the people who you know, it's affecting the people whom you serve. So you need to be considering it at some level. So still listen to this, even if you're in a country where there's not a big deal with corona, because if this situation missed you, the next situation will not miss you. Point number 1, see things as they are, but not worse than they are. Maintain your presence of mind amidst the turmoil of events. Again, the masterclass is coming on that exact topic very soon. Don't allow your emotions to run wild. Point number 2, fear setting. Hat tip to Tim Ferriss on this. We all heard of goal setting. Fear setting is looking at the worst possible case scenarios, giving attention to those emotions that you may want to bottle up and not feel. Let them know that they're being acknowledged, and then ask yourself, how can I survive the worst case scenario? How can I get myself back to ground zero, get back to neutral? Point number 3, start brainstorming. And not just for the short term. What if you're out of work for 6 months? What if you're out of work for a year? What if your job changes completely? What if your job lets you know that even though Corona's over, you're fired because they don't need you anymore? So if you're in a role that you didn't really want to be in, start thinking right now, what's the thing you really want to do with your life? And start looking at how you can do it. And if you are in a role that you really want to be in, but you can't do it right now, start asking yourself, how could I still do what I want to do despite the fact that there are some limitations on me right now? And you will come up with some brilliant ideas that maybe the thing you decide to stick with even when the corona thing is over. Point number 4, get the information. It's out there. There are books, podcasts, people, live streams, Zoom calls, courses, etc. of people who are already doing what you want to do, showing you exactly how they're doing it. All you got to do is listen to them, follow, learn, implement. That's all you need to do right now. The information is out there. Get urgent about that. And point number 5, get active right now. Personal initiative, your ability to go make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. A lot of people right now are waiting things out. But what you need to understand, the things that you're waiting out may take longer than you think they're going to take. And we don't know what the new normal is going to be. Like, it used to be normal to walk up to the gate of the airport. Then 9/11 happened. Now we got the TSA. That's not normal anymore. Actually, you can't do it at all anymore. You get arrested, you try to do that. So see masterclass number 561. Things will not go as planned. Here's how to prepare mentally, because we have no idea what the future is going to hold. Even once the thing is over, again, what changes and how is it going to change and how is that going to affect all of us? Keep that in mind. Work on your game. Dre, all